What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about a few things that you can pay attention to give you that little edge when trading. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of these great tutorials or urgent market updates that we upload to the channel. Now, you may have heard the saying, champions are built in the off season. Now, obviously this is true, being that it's usually the work done behind the scenes that makes somebody great at anything, right? This applies to sports, this applies to trading, this applies to anything. You have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears to have that edge over your competition. When it comes to trading crypto, the game is easy, right? It's get in before everybody, and then more importantly, get out before everybody. Now, in today's video, we're gonna jump into the computer and I'm gonna show you guys a few different things such as news aggregators, some of which we've touched on in the past. And then I'm also gonna show you some other markets that you could keep your eye on to kind of gauge what Bitcoin might do next. Now, TA or technical analysis has a lot to do with what makes a good trader, right? You obviously need to know how to read the charts, how to analyze what might happen next, and you have to be pretty good at it. One way you can stay ahead of the markets and get in and out before everybody else is to have more information, right? You need to know more than these other people know. And there's a bunch of different ways to do that. As I just said, we're gonna take a look at some news aggregators. We're gonna take a look at a couple different markets you can keep your eye on, but it's important to be well-rounded, not only in the charts and your analysis, but also what's going on, not only in the world of crypto, but what's going on in the world in general, as these things can greatly affect the market. So without further ado, let's jump into the computer. I'm gonna show you guys some of these things that I use to stay more informed than the next guy, and how you can use these news tools as well as these other markets to help you get ahead of the competition. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're gonna touch on is keeping up with the news. Now, this site might look familiar to you guys, as I did cover it in my daily routine video, because it is a website that I do check often to keep up with the news, and that is cryptopanic.com. Now, CryptoPanic is a news aggregator, right? So it goes out and it finds all the newest, latest news and aggregates it all into one place, right? And this is crypto news by the minute. So you can see right here, 12 minutes ago, 14 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, 27 minutes ago. So these news stories just keep rolling in. And if you come up here, you can filter this to your liking: top news, all news, media, blogs, news sites following, price analysis, regulation, ICO, events. And then here you have commented, hot, rising, bullish, bearish, important, LOL, top saved. So you have all different ways. If you just wanted to check out the bullish news for the day, you could click there. It'll pull all the bullish stories, right? And then vice versa for the bearish news. You could check out that because it is important to keep an eye on both of these, right? Now, why is this important? And there's actually a pretty good example that happened just this morning. We're recording this video on April 25th. Just this morning, some news dropped on Elon Musk and his latest plans to buy Twitter, right? And this news story came out and Dogecoin jumped 11% in just 1 hour. So you can imagine the people that were on the forefront of this news were able to predict that this might make the Dogecoin price pump, and they could have got in for some nice gains. When it comes to keeping up with the news and incorporating that into your trading plan, the more you know, the better. So you really want to stay one step ahead with this news, and that's why I like CryptoPanic, because it is crypto news by the minute. This is not a sponsored video by any means whatsoever, but I do like it that it is constantly updated as the day goes on with the hottest and the latest crypto news. Now, another good example of this is back in last May when we had our first big dump. You guys know the May crash. We came down about 50%. This works as a great example of why it's important to stay up with the news, and not only the news, but it's also important to follow big crypto influencers like Elon Musk, because sometimes they're able to move the markets with just one tweet. And like I said, a really good example is last May when we had that big dump. Elon Musk hit Twitter and said that his company Tesla would no longer be accepting Bitcoin to buy cars because of the environmental impact Bitcoin would have. And what happened after that tweet? Bitcoin fell about 40%. So again, just another reason why it's so important to stay updated on the news, whether that's using a news aggregator like CryptoPanic or being on Twitter following really influential people, whether that's staying up to date with websites like Crypto Panic and staying up to date with all the latest news, or even just being on Twitter following influential people in the world that might have an effect on the price. Now, I'll tell you one thing, the charts did not alert me that Tesla would not be accepting Bitcoin anymore. Although TA is a huge, huge part of being a good trader, it's not just that. And again, the more you know, the better off you are. Now, some other things that you could keep your eye on to stay ahead of the competition and just help yourself get that extra edge when trading is to keep eyes on other markets that may affect Bitcoin. Right now, there's two that come to mind: the SPY, or the S&P 500, and the DXY, or the US dollar index. Bitcoin is related to both of these things in very different ways. Bitcoin lately has been following traditional markets, things like the SPY. Recently, they have been tied pretty tightly, meaning that when the SPY does poorly, Bitcoin comes down, and when the SPY does well, Bitcoin goes up, right? So if you start seeing warning signs on something like the SPY, it might be foreshadowing that there could be trouble down the road for Bitcoin. The DXY, or the US dollar index, basically what that does is it measures the strength of the dollar against a basket of other currencies. So how is Bitcoin related to the DXY? Although they do deviate from each other here and there, a lot of times they do move inversely of each other. And let's jump into the charts right now. And I'm gonna put the charts side by side so we can kind of see how they are related to each other. So first, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the DXY. So we're gonna go up to our trading view tools up here. We're gonna go ahead and click this button. We're going split screen, and we're gonna pull right here on the left side, we have the DXY, or the US dollar index. And then on this side, we have Bitcoin. So we're gonna go to the weekly chart on both of these and see if we can find any correlations. Now on the DXY, you can see here that I have a couple circles drawn, one here, and we might be drawing another one right here pretty soon. But these are big turning points in the DXY. This was in 2016, where the DXY topped out at about 103, almost 104, and then had a harsh rejection to the downside. Now, like I said, the DXY does move inversely to Bitcoin. So I just want to point out, if you can see my cursor on both screens here, but as the DXY rejects this level here and starts to come down, you can notice on the Bitcoin chart that Bitcoin was actually coming up for the 2017 bull run, right? So this area right here marks close to the beginning of that 2017 bull run. So DXY comes down and Bitcoin comes up. And then right here, again, we have another top on the DXY. And if we come on over to our Bitcoin chart and find that same area, that's right here in March of 2020. I think we all know what was happening in March of 2020 and why the price dropped so much. But the topping out of the DXY almost marked this bottom perfectly. And then as your DXY came down, we came up for our current bull run. That's pretty clear when looking at these charts. And then you can see here, as Bitcoin topped, Bitcoin started to come down, and then the DXY came up. A little bit of deviation here. You'll see Bitcoin and the DXY both kind of came down in this general area. Like I said, they do deviate from time to time. Both of these two areas of resistance for the DXY, when we saw these rejections, ended up in a massive bull run for Bitcoin. When the DXY approaches this trend line again and possibly gets rejected again very harshly, could we expect another run up for Bitcoin? Well, only time will tell, but this is just something you can keep your eye on. I did just want to explain this. I know we look at this on the stream from time to time, and I just wanted to point out exactly how it works, and just wanted to show you how it does move inversely. You'll see the top here, 2017 bull run. You get a bottom here, which was your 2017 top, right into the 2018 bear market. As you see the DXY continue to run up, you're in the bear market. And then we topped out again right here, marked the bottom of March 2020. And we started as the DXY was coming down. Bitcoin came up for a massive bull run. Now let's take a look at the SPY. Now, obviously, you guys know, as I just said, SPY is correlated to Bitcoin in the opposite way, as it follows, Bitcoin follows the SPY rather than moves inversely of it. Now, let's come down to the daily time frame and see if we can see any similarities. So as you guys can see, we have the SPY on the left, and then we have our Bitcoin chart right here on the right. And as you can see, I'm just going to pick a random spot to begin here. Now you'll see right here, we have a little bottom right here on the SPY, which almost perfectly lines up with this bottom that we have on Bitcoin. And then we have a massive move to the upside. As the SPY comes up for that move, we have Bitcoin coming up for a parabolic move to the upside, right? And then as we start to peak out and come down, you'll see that the SPY started to come down. Now, we did get a little volatility here. It did come up just a little bit here. Yeah, so you see it does deviate from time to time, so it's not perfect. But then you can see we have another top right here, indicating our top right around this area right here. As the SPY continued to fall, Bitcoin continued to fall. That is marking this bottom right here. And then we came up with the SPY as Bitcoin started to come up a little bit. And then, vice versa. We came down with the SPY. We came down with Bitcoin. Then we came up with the SPY a little bit. We came up with Bitcoin a little bit. And it goes on and on and on. But I did just want to point out how these do move with each other, right? So you have the DXY moves opposite of Bitcoin. You have the SPY that typically, for the most part, moves with Bitcoin, right? And like I said, important to know this, they do deviate at times. So it's not just guaranteed that if the DXY is coming down, that Bitcoin's going to go up. But you can see that when the DXY historically has topped out and came down, it has resulted in massive bull runs for Bitcoin, and you can't ignore that. So guys, I think that's all I got for this one. I did just want to make this video real quick. I know I'm always giving you guys the sauce on the charts, how to read them, what to look for when trying to find trade entries. I show you guys the juicy strategies, all that good stuff. But I just wanted to make a little bit of a different video here to help you guys see past the charts and find other things that aren't related to TA that can also still give you a leg up when trading. So just a little recap. You want to stay ahead on the news because the news does affect the price of Bitcoin, right? And, whether you're checking something like cryptopanic.com, like we looked at today, there's also Masari.io, coinspectator.com. There's plenty of different news sites. You can find them, find which one fits you. But I like CryptoPanic as it is an aggregator and finds all the best news and updates it by the minute. And then you also want to keep an eye on other markets, right? We now know that the DXY moves inverse to Bitcoin, right? So we're watching for that next big rejection for a possible bull run for Bitcoin, right? Because historically, as the DXY has a harsh rejection off of resistance, typically it means upward price action for Bitcoin. And then you also want to keep an eye on the SPY because, I was talking about this today on one of our live streams. We have a weekly blood diamond on Bitcoin, but we also, something that could have been foreshadowing some downward price action for Bitcoin is we also had a weekly blood diamond on the SPY. And now as the SPY is really starting to feel some pain, we're seeing that reflected in Bitcoin. So it's just another thing that you can look at to give you that little extra edge. The more you know, the better off you are. Remember that saying, champions are built in the off season. So it's really about being fully immersed and spending your time doing the homework, putting in those blood, sweat, and tears to be the best, most well-rounded crypto trader that you can be so you can have the biggest edge and get your money in before everybody else and get it out before everybody else so you don't get wrecked. That's all I got for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.
Put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like